Today I want to explore the world of Big Brother, an exciting drama-comedy movie. The story unfolds with Henry, who has recently returned to Hong Kong after serving in the US military for several years. He is eager to start a new career as a teacher, so he decides to revisit his former school, Tak Chi Secondary. Here, he encounters a school principal, who initially expresses concerns about his lack of teaching experience. However, things take a turn when Henry presents a recommendation letter from a higher-ranking official, eventually securing the teaching job. As he prepares for his first day, the principal cryptically warns him that the class he's been assigned to is famous for its unruly behavior. On the fateful morning of his first class, Henry enters the room only to be met with total chaos. Some students are dozing off, others are enthusiastically singing songs, a few are engrossed in video games, and there's even a group cooking ramen on a portable stove. To make matters worse, they completely ignore the presence of their new teacher, continuing their activities as if he weren't there. Undeterred, Henry tries to regain control, but soon realizes his efforts are in vain. He resorts to unusual tactics, offering comments and advice on their ongoing activities. For example, he advises the ramen cookers to reduce salt, helps a student named Zufa tune his ukulele, and cautions a gamer about the potential dangers of screen radiation. Gradually, the students begin to pay attention, albeit with a few laughs at Henry's expense due to his less-than-stellar handwriting. After introducing himself and jotting down his name and phone number on the board, they start to warm up to him, though not without some initial reluctance. However, the challenges don't end there. One of the students calls for Henry to leave the class, but he brushes it off with a smile. The students, stubborn as ever, go back to their pre-Henry activities. Frustrated by their continued indifference, Henry resorts to a clever trick involving a rubber band and chalk to trigger the fire sprinkler, forcing the students to disperse. Now, with their full attention, Henry officially welcomes them to his class. After the class ends, a group of 5 underperforming students gathers in the sports supply room for a secret smoking session. Jack, the leader of the group, has a crush on an A-grade student from another class, which becomes a source of amusement for his friends. Meanwhile, the group faces rivalry and teasing from the rich and privileged members of the school's basketball team. As they watch the basketball team practice, Jack accidentally drops a bottle onto the court, causing the team leader to tumble. The group finds this hilarious, but their laughter is short-lived as they are promptly given detention by the school's English teacher, Miss Liang. Determined to avoid detention, the group devises a prank targeting Miss Liang and makes a hasty escape when she's occupied with desk cleaning duties. Elsewhere in the school, the principal is dealing with concerns about losing 20% of their annual funding as representatives from the education board have arrived to inspect how the funds are being used. Simultaneously, Henry enters the classroom, only to discover a setup involving a bucket of water poised for a prank. Fortunately, his quick reflexes save him from getting wet as he skillfully deflects the impending deluge. The moment Henry decides to take charge of the situation, it leaves the students who were gearing up to tease him in complete shock. He asks Jack for his pack of cigarettes, fully aware of his smoking habit, and Jack, curious about Henry's intentions, hands it over. Henry then turns his attention to Zufa, challenging him to name the 3 ingredients found in a cigarette. When Zufa answers correctly, Henry rewards him by allowing him to skip class for the day. This action triggers a chorus of desk-banging demands from the rest of the class to follow suit. When the clamor finally subsides, Henry distributes cigarettes to all the students and encourages them to analyze the contents. Recognizing that merely mentioning the health risks might not be effective, he takes a different approach. Henry begins discussing the consequences of smoking, explaining how tar forms in their lungs. For the first time, the students are captivated by the subject, genuinely interested in what their teacher has to say. After the bell rings, Henry asks them to return the cigarettes, to which the students reluctantly agree. Meanwhile, in the cafeteria, tensions between the basketball team captain and Jack's friend Bruce escalate into a full-blown argument that quickly turns into a brawl. Tables are flipped, food is thrown, and chaos ensues, leaving the cafeteria in a mess. Later, Henry receives word that 5 students from his class have been temporarily suspended for their role in the fight. In the hallway, he encounters Jack locked in a physical altercation with his opponent and intervenes to break them apart. Jack, still seething with anger, accuses the school of unfairness, pointing out that the wealthy students seem to evade consequences for their actions. Determined to understand his students better, Henry delves into their backgrounds by examining their files. The first student, Zufa, is the son of a Pakistani immigrant who faces discrimination due to his race and unjust accusations of theft in his neighborhood. Zufa's dream is to become a musician. The second student, Adinan, has struggled throughout her life to gain her father's respect because he has always wanted a son. Despite her efforts, her father continues to favor her younger brother. Brothers Bruce and Chris have faced family turmoil, with their mother leaving when they were young, leading their father into alcoholism. They have only each other to rely on, with Bruce escaping into video games, and Chris working diligently at a grocery store to support their family. Curiously, there is no information available about Jack's family background. In a subsequent scene, Jack works as a waiter at a restaurant, where he encounters Jianying, an MMA bettor, and his business partners. Jack attempts to steal Jianying's fancy lighter, but is caught. After verifying Jack's identity as a student, Jianying's men beat him up, but Jianying, upon learning of his student status, gives him money and offers him a job as a food delivery man. Meanwhile, Henry visits Zufa's home and finds him running from his father and associates after stealing a ticket. Initially assisting Zufa, Henry switches sides after learning the reason behind the pursuit. Later, the two hang out at a bridge, where Henry motivates Zufa by joining a street band's performance. Zufa, who has been bullied at school for years, summons the courage to sing in front of people for the first time. Back in Bruce and Chris's household, their father arrives home late as usual and demands that they fetch him a beer from the store. When the brothers refuse, he erupts in anger, ordering them to leave his house. Henry intervenes and manages to persuade their father to seek rehabilitation for the sake of his son's well-being. Meanwhile, Danan's father gifts her a bag of makeup products, urging her to act more like a girl. Fed up with her father's constant pressure to conform, Danan applies the makeup to her younger brother and attempts to sneak away in her father's car. Her escape plan is thwarted by Henry, just in time. Henry, concerned about Danan driving without a license, suggests a better idea. He proposes they visit a go-kart racetrack, even inviting her father to join them for a race. In a spirited bout of competition, the father and daughter show no mercy to each other on the track, eventually ending up outside it. Suddenly, Danan's go-kart is nearly struck by a vehicle, but she skillfully avoids it. Unbeknownst to her, her father had already begun mourning her supposed demise. Danan, recognizing her father's genuine concern, embraces him, realizing that he does indeed love her. The following day at school, Bruce, Chris, and a group of students are sent to a rehabilitation center for an interview with a recovering alcoholic. To their surprise, the person they are scheduled to interview is their own father. They inquire about how his drinking problem started, and he candidly confesses that he had once deeply loved his wife, who had left him during the lowest point of his life. This heartwarming revelation leaves the brothers in tears. Their father doesn't disclose that Bruce and Chris are his sons, but offers them a heartfelt apology. Meanwhile, Jack has begun working for the MMA bettor Jianying. When Jianying offers Jack a substantial sum to spike a fighter's drink in an upcoming match, Jack hesitates but ultimately succumbs to the pressure. On the day of the fight, Jianying sponsors a fighter, but secretly bets against him. Jack attempts to carry out the plan, but is caught in the act. He is beaten and locked inside a locker. Later, Henry arrives at the scene, seeking information about Jack's whereabouts. When the fighters refuse to cooperate, Jack's cries for help from inside the locker lead Henry to intervene, overpowering the assailants. Though the confrontation with the fighters escalates, Henry deftly avoids their attacks, eventually defeating their best fighter, who is scheduled to compete shortly. Subsequently, at the hospital, Henry receives treatment for his injuries, while Jack attempts to disclose the truth about Jianying, but is silenced. The news of the incident spreads, turning Henry into a hero known for defeating a professional fighter to protect his student. His popularity soars, and the students begin to respect him, even welcoming him to their class. In a flashback, it is revealed that Henry was a prankster during his own school days, even engaging in a fight with a fellow student and breaking his hand. This incident had led to his suspension and eventual departure for the United States. Now, the students pay rapt attention during his classes and diligently prepare for the upcoming college entrance test. However, amidst the academic progress, Bruce falls victim to a growing addiction to pills. While Chris has sought refuge in video games to escape family problems, Bruce has turned to drugs. His focus wanes, and he performs poorly in mock entrance tests. Henry vows to help him, but Bruce's despair deepens over time. Tragically, he jumps from the balcony of their house, falling into a coma. Media outlets distort the incident, blaming the school and Henry for Bruce's actions. The education board officials interview Henry and decide to revoke his teaching license. As Henry packs his belongings and leaves the school, the students chase after him, urging him to stay. Heartbroken by his departure, they understand that they have to excel in the upcoming test to prove Henry's worth. On the day of the test, Henry rallies his students to meet at the school an hour before the exam. only for them to discover that Jianying has orchestrated their confinement to prevent them from reaching the examination hall on time. He does this as a lesson to Henry. Later, when Henry arrives, he learns of Jianying's plan and releases the students. Engaging in a fight to protect them from harm, the students manage to escape and reach the examination hall in time. In a one-on-one confrontation with Jianying, it is revealed that Jianying is the same person Henry had thrown water balloons at during his childhood. The incident had left Jianying unable to pursue his dream of becoming a musician. Despite their emotional struggle and a potential knife fight, Henry chooses not to kill Jianying, instead asking for forgiveness for his past actions and walking away. The students successfully complete the test, passing with flying colors. Jianying resumes playing the piano, although he has much practice ahead of him. Bruce makes a quick recovery and promises to take the entrance test next year. The principal is delighted as the board grants them a 20% bonus fund due to their students' outstanding performance. Henry returns to teaching and, in a nostalgic moment, executes the fire sprinkler trick on a new batch of students.